Hey everyone, Andrew here with Nashville Severe Weather. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for Davidson County, and I'm gonna pull off over here and get us tweeted. Um, let's see, YouTube.com. All right, let's see if that works for us. Going to get us going here. We got a severe thunderstorm warning here for Davidson County, and let me make sure that that doesn't work. 1 second here. Let's get us going. Let's try this. All right, that should work a little bit better. Cool. All right, hey, Andrew here with Nashville Severe Weather. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning for Davidson County. This is northern Davidson County here, and this is a warning that's in effect here until 2:15. All right, so 2:15. So we got about a 30-minute severe thunderstorm warning for Davidson County, and if you guys could give me a heads up in the chat whether you can hear me or not, that'd be great. Just make sure everything's working all right. So we got David coming in here. Can't see him, but there he is. David there. And yeah, if y'all could give me a heads up, make sure you can hear me all right on the stream. And yeah, somebody mentions here the reflectivity. Reflectivity does look a little bit concerning, but velocities aren't too concerning with it. Not a lot of rotation there at the moment. But yeah, there's definitely some wind energy in there today. And thank you all for the heads up on the volume. Appreciate that. That's helpful. But yeah, there is some wind energy up there today. And so the storms may look a little scary on radar, but we're going to keep an eye on them just in case things get beyond our expectations, but right now we're not expecting a whole lot in the way of tornadoes, but we are going to keep an eye on that today. Looks mainly to be a wind and hail threat, and in particular, this storm up here around Ashland City that'll be coming into Davidson County here in the next few minutes looks like it's going to be a hailer. So we can see here right there crossing Highway 12, Ashland City Highway, here in just a minute. There is in River Road quite a bit of hail in there. Wherever you see the purples there, that's going to be hail, and pretty clearly defined on radar actually that's hail falling maybe to the tune of quarter-size hail. And so anywhere you see that purple there, the dark reds, that could definitely be hail moving into the Little Marrowbone Road area, Beeman Park. If you know anybody out at Beeman Park today, they could have a hailstorm here pretty soon. They're already getting lightning out there, and so hopefully anybody out there is making their way back to the car quickly, but it could have some hail in that storm as it approaches there in the next few minutes. And so let's back out just a little bit and show you this severe thunderstorm warning. I'm going to turn off the red square lightning thing just to make it a little less confusing there, but in fact, I'm going to turn off also our special weather statements so that we see the severe thunderstorm warnings only. And so we have a severe thunderstorm polygon here that runs roughly, and I understand some of you say you can't see because you're in a meeting and you're trying to get information, but you're listening. And so I'll describe this for you. The polygon runs basically from Bells Bend to north of downtown Nashville over to Lakewood and then areas north. So this is basically the northern half of Davidson County under the gun for a hailstorm and potentially some strong gusty winds with this. And yeah, it does look a little freaky on radar with the hook echo, but we're not seeing any rotation at the moment with this. But we could get some hail and some strong winds out of this. David, how you doing?
Good.
We don't, or at least I don't hear you. You may be there, but I don't hear you.
There
you are.
There I am. Yeah, so we're getting looks. People on Twitter are concerned about the hook as well. I mean, this doesn't look like a tornadic signature in any way, shape, or fashion, as you have been saying. It looks like a hailer to me. As you can see in some of the products, the hail core is sitting right there where Andrew was pointing at it a second ago. Right kind of where that that purplish, bluish area is. About to cross into the western edge of Davidson County. There's a small hail core trying to develop. So it looks like it's time for you to, if you're in East Nashville, and you need to make sure that all your umbrellas are put up, your trampoline secured. If you've got kids to be picked up from school or to be dropped off at a bus stop at some point, I'd say like 2:15 or later. In the city, you should expect that they will encounter downpours, lightning, and potentially some strong straight line winds and maybe a little bit of hail mixed in. So you might consider that as you plan for your afternoon. And then later in the day, it looks like those storms that are developing out to our southwest will move into Williamson County. But for now, we're concerned about the severe thunderstorm warning sitting just north of downtown on its way in and just entering the county now, Andrew.
Yeah, it looks like to me this storm will mostly impact those along and north of the Briley Parkway Loop on the north side of town. So especially the strongest part, the hail part, which is right where you see the purples here in the storm. That's where your hail's going to be falling, and that's pretty predictable here as far as where you're not going to get hail up here along Baxter Road and up there north of Jolton, but it's just clearly not going to happen there. The way the storm's laid out, your hail's going to be right here in this purple area. Crossing the county line now, coming into right around Marrowbone Lake and Beeman Park here in the next 15 minutes. Should start getting hail right there in that area. And pretty rural area up there, a lot of woods, but also we got a pretty major park up there, and of course Marrowbone Lake. So I fully expect people are up there, and we need to make sure they understand what's coming in here right now as they're getting the rain up there, but also could be some hail on the backside of this thing as it comes in over the next 15 minutes. So again, let's back just a little bit out and show you that those of you that are coming in that are new to watching here over the past few minutes, we got a severe thunderstorm warning, 1 for our county. You see 2 on the screen here. One of them is in effect for Robertson County up here for the storm around Coopertown. Right there between Jolton and Springfield. And so that storm up there, that warning is just for Robertson County. That storm will not affect Davidson County. The storm for Davidson County for us is down here, right there around Beeman Park, the one we were just talking about, this one right here. So it's got some hail with it, got some wind with it perhaps, and some heavy rain briefly as that storm comes through. It will affect mostly areas from the Briley Parkway Loop on the north side and to the north. So near the old Fontenelle property and White's Creek, Beeman Park, Jolton, probably Madison. I would definitely say Goodlettsville in time as the storm gets completely across the county, and even up maybe as far north as Bakers and Luton's and Ivy Point. So you folks up there, be ready for a potential hailer. And it doesn't look incredibly large. The hail doesn't look incredibly large, maybe quarter size, but something like that falls on your stuff, and it's really not pleasant to watch happen. So make sure your stuff is inside. Anything you don't want to get hailed on up there. So let's kind of look behind this too. This is not really our last storm for the day. We fully expect that this is kind of the first of a couple of storms, and then all the way back to the Tennessee River here, we see cells popping up, and these cells are all capable. In fact, this one around Dixon is starting to get its act together right on top of Dixon, so wouldn't be surprised if eventually we see a warning come out on that one, and that would affect areas in western Davidson County again as well. So we got to kind of keep an eye out for these storms back to the west as the next few hours go on. We're under severe thunderstorm watch until 8 o'clock tonight. And that severe thunderstorm watch is for exactly what we're seeing, the potential for strong, damaging, gusty winds and some large hail. And I'm about to sneeze, and I'm not. I'm going to do my best not to do it.
Do it, Andrew.
I'm going to do my best not to do it in the microphone. Sorry. And then also they mentioned in the watch text that there was the potential for a couple of tornadoes, but that was over a huge area. David did a great job of explaining that on Twitter, showing that, hey, this watch covers multiple states, covers a huge area, and there could be a couple of tornadoes possible within that huge area. So likely to see one around here? No, not likely, but it's enough for us to just kind of keep our eyes open for that possibility. And we will, but we don't see anything like that threatening at the moment. So again, our two strongest storms at the moment are here coming into Davidson County, non-tornadic storm. This storm is coming into Beeman Park, northwestern Davidson County between Briley Parkway, Beeman Park, and Joelton. And then we got a pretty strong storm right across the county line up there in Robertson County coming into Greenbrier. And poor Greenbrier, they tend to get a bunch of these windstorms that come in up there right on top of the Highland Rim there, and they've got some winds, looks 58, 60 miles per hour. See that blue area there? So 58, 60 mile per hour winds coming into Greenbrier in the next couple of minutes. So right up there on the Highland Rim, they tend to get a lot of these windstorms up there. And that area of strong wind appears to be growing, actually. So that's going to be crossing Betts Road and going right into Greenbrier. So that's outside of Davidson County. You folks in Davidson County, that's going to be right up to your north. But this storm here looks to me like it's mostly a hailer. I don't see like incredibly strong winds with it. I'm going to look at another radar here, see if TBNA has anything different. Let's pull that up. Is TBNA working today?
I don't know. I haven't looked at it yet. Let's see.
Doesn't appear to be.
It's almost never working.
Nope. TBNA is once again out of commission. All right. So we don't have TBNA today. So we're relying.
I have overlay data, but no actual radar data. Which
yeah.
Is fun. A lot of cloud to ground lightning strikes in these too. Some of them are positive strikes. So those are the house rattlers. Yeah,
Yeah, sure enough. Just turn the lightning back on here.
So we got a new warning out for Dixon County, Cheatham County, and a little bit more of our area. Andrew, if you want to go through that.
Okay, so let me turn off the red again. I know that the red lines can be confusing there. It looks a lot like a tornado warning, and it's not. So I don't like that shows up on our screen that way, but when things get busy, yep, there we go. So we now have a second. This escalated quickly today, David.
Yeah, but it really wasn't a surprise.
It wasn't a surprise, but it did things got strong within about an hour there.
Yeah, it feels
got going
out
and
there.
Really started cranking on. So we got another warning here for Western Davidson County. And this is for that Dixon storm that we were just talking about a second ago that was getting its act together. And it has gotten its act together enough to where the Weather Service has put out a warning on it. And this is for 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. So these are sort of the warnings that are being put out today on these storms are sort of your baseline severe thunderstorm warning. Dangerous? Yeah. If you're outside and you get stuck in 60 mile per hour winds and trees are coming down, that's very serious. And if you're driving along the roadway as well, and trees are coming down with 60 mile per hour winds, that's serious. These don't tend to produce like incredibly widespread wind damage. These are sort of your baseline severe thunderstorm warnings, but respect them and understand that these things can produce damage. So 60 mile per hour winds and quarter-size hail possible there around Dixon and eastward toward Burns and Kingston Springs, Pegram, and on over into Davidson County. So 2 warnings now for us, one for a storm around Dixon and another one for a storm up here around Marrowbone Lake and Beeman Park. That storm now has entered Davidson County, and the strongest part of that storm right now looks to be around Grays Point Road, Little Marrowbone Road, approaching Eaton's Creek Road, Bernard Road. So right in that area is where the strongest part of that storm appears right now. Hail core looks to have come down a little bit. I would be very surprised if there was quarter-size hail coming down in that storm now. But speaking of, let's talk about reports. Great way to send us reports is using hashtag TSpotter. I was speaking to the Nashville Rotary Club yesterday at Geodis Park, and we talked a little bit about TSpotter and how that was born and the usefulness of it. And to this day, it is useful. And we hope to get your reports today from these storms that are potentially severe. And what's reportable? Well, we're looking for hail that is quarter size or larger. Really, if you're getting hail, it's good to know that. Let us know what size of hail you're getting and where you are, because that helps us sort of correlate on radar. Hey, there's penny-size hail in this storm. That was the biggest hail we got. Well, that sort of helps us understand what is, what radar is showing and kind of how that correlates to the ground truth. But especially quarter-size hail or larger, any wind damage, anything like that is damage from these storms, send us a tweet using hashtag TSpotter. Let us know where you are. Throw in a picture if you can do all that safely. And that's very important. We get those to the Weather Service. They find them very important to days like today, and we'll make sure all of that is clicking along and working well, and we get the information that they need to them. So use that as much as you need to. Hashtag TSpotter on Twitter. You can also, on Instagram, send a DM, send a direct message to us on Instagram to our account, and Graham will get that over to the Weather Service as well. So you can do a couple of different ways.
Andrew, there's a nice note in chat from 1:45 p.m.
Okay.
Y'all, that second cell, the one that has the polygon on the lower left part of the screen that you're looking at there, that's probably the stronger of the two storms. These are supercell structures.
Yeah, they are.
And they're often quite efficient hail producers and wind producers. This one, again, does not look like a tornado day, but there's probably just enough low-level shear to make it a slight concern. That the hail core that is just east of White Bluff on severe thunderstorm warning number 2, so it's to the left of the Kingston Springs if you're looking at the screen there for Andrew. That's got probably a little bit of small hail falling through it, and it's tripping out some of the data. It's also a very efficient lightning maker. These are storms that you don't need to ride out under a tree or at a construction site that's not fully enclosed. If you're on a crane, if you're outside on a building, if you're roofing and you're along or north of I-40, you need to start making plans to get to a safe place. And then the threat for Williamson County is developing now, but that will continue for the next couple of hours. Looks like this is going to be a school dismissal problem for most of Metro County schools, or Metro National schools, and Williamson County schools, as well as all the like Franklin Special School District and all the other special school districts, private schools in Wilco. So, if you're in charge of little people, let's make sure that we're dismissing them safely. But there is no need for you to panic and run and try to get your kid from school. They're perfectly safe here in school right now. These are non-tornadic looking storms, but they're going to have lots of cloud-to-ground lightning. They're going to have a fair amount of wind. You may see a little bit of hail, the diameter of the size of a quarter. Andrew?
Yeah, so I agree with everything David's saying. David, I may need to take a quick call here in just a second, but I'm good.
Yeah, I can drive. No problem. Just let me know.
Okay, I will. Yeah, the best looking storm that will affect us is like David said, out there in Dixon County. That one right there has gotten its act together pretty well. Again, wind and hail threat. We're not seeing much in the way of rotation there. There's some wind energy in it, but it's not looking like much more than wind and hail. Hail size looks to be quarter size, I'd say. And these are classic supercells, man. I mean, this looks springtime-ish to me. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. That's not meant to scare anyone. It's just interesting how the structure of these things in September kind of looks like April. So yeah, definitely some hail in there. Radar's picking up on that. That's approaching White Bluff, and that should probably be headed our way here in the next half hour, affecting western Davidson County. We'll have to see how that evolves. Our storm up here in northern Davidson County, slowly making its way through. I mean, you're getting a good rain out of this one for sure. Up in Joelton, all the way up to like Ridgeview Estates, Ivy Point, Dry Creek. Skylines can probably get some rain out of this one, but this one does look to be affecting areas north of Briley Parkway. That looks to be still true. And maybe some hail left in it. I wouldn't expect it's quarter size, but it does look like there's still some hail up there around Beeman Park and right around Highway 41A. That's Clarksville Highway, I guess. So that is really what we have left with that one. Not even seeing a ton of wind energy. I'd love to get some reports on this, though. If you're up in Joelton, especially around Beeman Park, I'd be very interested to know what the winds are doing up there, because radar really doesn't look that impressive. And so it may be impressive up there. We just can't tell by radar. Weather Service is right. The most impressive wind signature was up there around Greenbrier, again, up in Robertson County. So that's not affecting us. But as far as wind signatures go, not seeing too much else.
No, we're getting a good shot of it too. I mean, we should that KOHX radar, the full thing with the little circle around it there. We're over by Green Hill, just north of Green Hill. That's where the radar is. We should be getting a pretty good shot of that rain where we are, and not so much in Greenbrier anymore because it's starting to move a little bit north. But yeah, that looks like a weird signature. It certainly doesn't look like a springtime velocity signature, that's for sure.
No, and that's a good thing. I mean,
you'll see that hook's kind of gone away down there as it goes through by Fontenelle.
Yeah. It's like a new severe thunderstorm warning for Robertson Sumner, so they're going to get things going up there.
A lot of lines on the screen. I had to turn off my my tropical models overlay on WSV, Andrew, because it was
you had a lot
more lines on it than there were on than there was data.
Yeah, it's turning into a relatively busy day for us around the metro area.
This storm that's heading towards Fairview, Andrew, if you want to scroll a little bit south there, near Wrigley, that one's intensifying as well. Would not be surprised if that matured into a 40-mile-an-hour winder. Lightning starting to sprout from it, and that might come straight into Fairview here pretty soon. I don't know, I'd give it about a half hour, 2:20, 2:30 or so. You'd be in tough shape if you were outside waiting for a bus. The storms a little bit further to the south don't look quite as organized, but the models expected that. They expected those to mature as we go through the afternoon.
David, can you take it just a second? I'll be right back.
Yeah. Just leave if you can zoom out. And let's just put those in motion, Andrew, while you go away. Thank you. So, thanks, Andrew. We've got 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. We have the one that's north of downtown Nashville. It's producing a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning, and it's probably not as windy as the warning was concerned, with winds up to 60 miles an hour, but we really don't see any evidence of that. We're looking at the radar. The beam is shooting just under 900 feet and can't find anything above 30 miles an hour for that one. So the straight line winds are probably behaved there for now. But the concern is, the immediate concern is you're going to be outside in it. Let's not be outside in that storm. The worst of that storm is centered right around Fontenelle. It's moving towards Skyline Village. It'll be there in about 10 minutes. That's kind of where the suspicion of hail is. If you look at the radar data, there's probably some hail aloft, but whether or not it's reaching the ground is questionable. But it's going to go over Skyline Village, and hopefully most of that hail will hit in that like heavily wooded, hilly area just to the west of Skyline Village. But it then will continue across towards Rivergate Mall. That's I think where the heaviest of that precipitation will be, and where most of the lightning will be. So if you're in Madison, so East Nashville to Madison to Rivergate, right in there, certainly into Goodlettsville, you need to be ready for just to get a lot of rain and lightning, and hopefully very little else. Then we have a second severe thunderstorm warned storm. If you see that one, it's the furthest one to the left on your screen. It's just to the right of Dixon or east of Dixon. And that one's a little bit more organized, meaning it's probably a little bit more powerful than the aforementioned storm that's heading into Madison. This one's got a lot of lightning, has got a decent hail signature, certainly not a large hail signature on it. The winds on it look a little bit stronger, but of course the radar is pointing at winds aloft there. And those winds aloft are at 43 miles an hour at about 2,500 feet. So it's probably a lot like the storm at Nashville. Once you get down, the winds are probably closer to 30 miles an hour. Hopefully this storm does not intensify, because this storm is probably going to end up in Nashville proper, be inside the Briley Parkway Loop, and impact those from Haynes, Talbot's Corner, Englewood, Shelby Park. I know the Dollies have a game tonight at 6, and they're going to get a lot of rain, and hopefully the field will survive it and clear out. It should clear out by game time, I would guess. It'd be gone in 4 hours. So if you've got softball or baseball or whatever kind of sporting interest out in East Nashville, the storm should be gone tonight, but the question is, have they wrecked the fields? So that's something you'll have to deal with individually, because certain fields handle water differently. I know in East Nashville they don't do too well, because most of those parks are near the river, and the drainage is pretty poor. But yeah, we've got this storm actually, Andrew, over by White Bluff, just left of Kingston Springs, west of Kingston Springs there. It's starting to do the similar thing that the storm above it did, which was try to hook up a little bit. And that's generally where we'll see the hail potential. And we'll see the lightning to be the most frequent and intense there. Meanwhile, we've got this storm near Fairview, and I guess, man, south of 40, they're just having a hard time getting going, Andrew. They're really not having a good time. Although we are starting to see lightning increase down further south into Lawrenceburg. So we're in a severe thunderstorm watch until 7 o'clock. I think our threat will be gone by 7. These storms should move out of the area in time for that storm. Let's see, this one in Kingston Springs, I'm just looking at off screen here at the velocity data, and it looks like right near White Bluff, they're running at about 45 miles an hour at 2,400 feet. So certainly have seen stronger storms come through. I don't know what the deal is with the echo, Andrew. Do you?
I'll fix it. That was my problem. Sorry.
Okay.
I had you coming out my speakers, and my microphone was on, so it's
yeah.
It
Well, the chat was very unhappy, and I don't blame them. They were wondering.
Yeah, we should. It would be fixed if I had headphones, but I'm literally have no idea where my headphones are right now. They're around here somewhere.
Well,
this all happened very quickly. I got out of my car, ran in the house, turned on the computer, got things turned on, and then the first warning came out. So anyway, didn't have time to find the headphones.
Did you finish your call?
David, good update there. We got 2 severe thunderstorm warnings still going on. The storms are sort of pulsing up and down as far as the strength. Earlier we saw the strongest storm up here in Robertson County. We haven't seen a ton of wind out of this one in northern Davidson County, at least that we've seen and gotten reports of. We see a report over here in T-Spotter of some branches down out there. Let's see, that's at the intersection of West Walnut Street and North Charlotte. So that's going to be over there in Dixon County. Each individual storm here will have its own impacts and own degree of severity. and potential of wind damage. But the important part is that they have the potential for damaging straight line wind gusts, 60 mile per hour winds, and 1 inch hail, which is quarter size hail. So they each have that potential. It likely won't happen that way everywhere. Everybody inside the yellow polygon is not going to have damage, but they have that potential to create that. So, hey, yeah, best way to get reports to us is hashtag TSpotter, and that's going to be the best way for you to get reports to us, and we will get that over to the Weather Service, and we'll make sure that they get that information. But that's incredibly helpful, So let's check out this storm again in northern Davidson. It doesn't look quite as impressive as it did earlier. And in fact, the one around Dixon County doesn't either. It looks like the hail core has come down some in both of these. I would expect there to be some strong gusty winds with them, maybe some small hail, but I'm not seeing really the potential there at the moment. Like if you're underneath it, I wouldn't expect that you're seeing quarter size hail or larger there in northern Davidson or over in Dixon County coming into western Cheatham County. So that's good news. But they're going to keep these warnings going. The one here for northern Davidson County expires in 8 minutes, and the one back there around Dixon County's got a ways left on it, 23 minutes left on that. Let's look at some ETAs here for this storm over in western Cheatham County. And some ETAs here. Let's take a look. We got Metro Center around 237, downtown Nashville. If it continues on its current track, 239, and Madison around 245, 246. Goodlettsville 249. So you got about a half hour there for the storm to come into Davidson County. And I expect in that 30 minutes, we will see the storm weaken. We'll see it intensify. We'll see it weaken again. It just kind of depends on where that all happens and where you are as to what effects you will get. So everybody inside the yellow polygons is under the most immediate threat of seeing impacts from these storms. And so that includes areas like Riverwalk and Bells Bend and Beeman Park, although your storm has moved off to the east, but you got another one coming in. And that includes downtown Nashville, although downtown Nashville is not currently under a warning. Very well could over the next half hour if the storm continues its current track and intensity. So we've seen them kind of getting ahead of these warnings as the storms have moved in. We've seen them sort of getting ahead of them, and they don't want them to be producing damage without there being warnings on them. So they've done a good job of staying ahead of these storms today and getting watches and warnings put out. So we're just sort of in a waiting game, David. The storm off to the north there in northern Davidson, to me, sure doesn't look quite as organized as it did. It still looks kind of, a little scary looking if you're just looking at it on, got a little hook on it. But again, we're not seeing rotation with these. These are sort of living right behind a little outflow boundary, it looks like. And we're just not really seeing the rotation there. And I'm going to look on a different radar here. And yeah, that means there's just no rotation. So it looks a lot scarier than it is as far as rotation goes. So still some wind energy with it, potentially still some hail, and that's going to be moving over. Well, it's coming through Goodlettsville now, going to be over into Sumner County here pretty quickly, and then we turn our attention back here to the west for this storm that's coming through Cheatham County now, and we'll be moving through Davidson County here over the next half hour to hour. There's some ETAs for you on that one.
So I'm not sure everyone's getting rained out. I think some fields may survive if they can tolerate a little bit of rain. I think it's going to be pretty unlikely for everyone. Let me restate that. It will be likely everyone gets at least some rain today. But I know I'm getting a lot of questions in the chat and on Twitter, as well as on my cell phone, Hey, are we going to have ball games tonight? And I think some fields might be able to tolerate this, especially down in Wilco, where the storms aren't quite as organized and it looks like they're forming a little bit more intensely down to our south. Those storms that you see down there by Columbia and Lawrenceburg are probably, they might get south of 840, but I don't know that they're going to get into Franklin and Nolensville. So we'll just have to see. The ground is crazy dry, as everybody knows. So I think the fields are going to be able to tolerate a little bit more water than they usually are, especially in the spring when we've had a little bit of base of rain. I mean, my local creek here is bone dry. So I just got a feeling that I'm not certain that everyone's going to get rained out tonight. I think the rain and the storms should be gone by 7, if not before. But we do need to temper that with, you said a little bit of fear and trembling, right? Hashtag Soren Kierkegaard. As the energy out to our west, out to the left there, still needs to get organized. But the convective allowing models have said that those storms should intensify. So we'll see. Generally speaking, though, the leading edge, these storms that we're dealing with now, the 2 severe warned up in Nashville, and then those near Columbia are probably going to be the strongest of the day. So good luck if you are organizing school dismissal, or if you are hosting or umpiring or playing or coaching in ball games tonight. I think that some of you will play and some of you won't.
Yeah, the big challenge is going to be, if you have, you need a way to be able to get lightning information if you are at these games or outdoor events. Just have a way to get lightning information. You should have your own protocols as far as when you play, when you don't, when you take a break, and you need to stand by those and enact those protocols and have a way to get your information if you are playing this evening and late this afternoon. So just heads up on that. Today's the day to use that stuff, and you haven't had to use it much this season probably, but today's the day to have that stuff available. So. Again, Sucker looks scary up there in Goodlettsville, but we really don't have any rotation with it. It's just there's just not much to it other than maybe some wind, maybe a little bit of small hail there in Goodlettsville. I'm looking on a different radar here, and right there in the middle of Goodlettsville, there could be some little bit of hail coming right through the middle of town, but I expect that to be small. I really just don't see large hail embedded in this thing. So hopefully it's kind of lost a little bit of its punch, but that's coming right through the middle of town. They're all the way from Vietnam Vets all the way up to about where Old Springfield Pike and the campground is there at the Mansker Creek Bridge. So right there through the middle of town. So it's a pretty gnarly storm. Shouldn't last long, but I don't think that we're going to hear a lot of damage reports out of Goodlettsville, I sure hope. Let's see. In fact, that severe thunderstorm warning now has gone away. And so Goodlettsville no longer under a warning. Hey, Will. So Will's taking reports today, as he always does. So he's keeping up on the T-Spotter feed, as we've been saying. Best way to send in reports. Hashtag T-Spotter on Twitter. With a picture, if you can do that safely, your location, and throw that in a tweet. Use hashtag T-Spotter, and we'll take it from there. So Will is good at staying on top of that stuff. All right, so our northern Davidson County severe thunderstorm warning, which was the first warning that we received in our 2 counties, that warning is now gone. It was canceled. It's going to disappear off this screen in about 30 seconds, but it's disappeared off our other radar. So this warning here is gone, and we're left with this one back here around Cheatham County, and that storm doesn't look quite as effective as it was either. It looks like it has pulsed down and doesn't look quite as organized as it did back a little bit ago. So we'll see what it does, but right now, it doesn't look quite as impressive. But we're going to wait for that to come into Davidson County. Again, reports are very useful on days like today because if the thing doesn't look quite as impressive on radar, but it's blowing trees down, that's important to know To be sure, we're not downplaying anything here, but right now it looks like hopefully that storm is on the weakening trend, but it could pulse up again. We've seen it happen. But it's riding right along a boundary here, and I'm going to try to. Hey guys, let's see here. Let me pull up another screen here. So if you
Andrew,
see this, if you
I'm
see this,
dropping in some information here onto our Slack channel. Stand by. It's precipitation information. It's not like a big deal. This is from it's a mesoscale precipitation discussion from WPC.
okay,
So
cool. Yeah,
you can
reading
pivot
it
to
now
that
while
here
I'm
in a
talking.
minute. Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like we could have some ingredients are there, allowing for some heavy rainfall. The advancing cold front, this precip is kind of running parallel to it. It'll keep repeating thunderstorm threat into the evening. Slow eastward progression despite relatively quick storm motions. So yeah, what that means is, let me translate a little bit. You have kind of like this line of storms here, a very broken, very rough line of storms, but they're moving kind of southwest to northeast. So the storms are going to kind of kind of roughly, loosely train over the same areas. So if you get 3, 4, 5 of these storms, you could get some brief flooding. That's what I'm translating there out of that.
Yeah, it's probably more of a
paragraph.
risk for those of us to our east and north, honestly, where the downpours are heaviest. I mean, if you were to scroll up into Kentucky, you'd see much heavier downpours. These storms probably have a little bit more time to mature and strengthen as they go east, but that will be our friends to the east problem and will be our problem because the worst of it will be past us by the time these things fully mature.
Yeah.
I'm going to put, if you're looking for ETAs, I'm putting a new tweet up for our remaining severe thunderstorm warned storm out to our west.
Cool.
I'll put them on Twitter. But generally speaking, it's the ETA of 239 to Nashville, 237 Metro Center, 236 Fisk University, Hermitage 253, Gillesville 249, Madison 246, Tribeca 241. And I gave those out of order for no good reason. So if you're wondering why is he reading them out of order, that's a great question.
I have to say, this storm here in Cheatham County has really had its legs cut out from under it. It really is. Let me just back it up here. I mean, you see around Dixon, it had a good hail core with it, a lot of purples in there. Let me go east, and the thing is just. So what we have this boundary right here from Madison. You see this light blue line, Madison to Bells Bend, up to Hendersonville. And I think this thing's riding right behind that boundary, and it's just there's some cool air in there, and it's cut the legs out from under it. So we'll see what they do with this. The warning has another 12 minutes on it. We'll see if they let that ride. It's pretty close to that boundary, so there's a possibility it could loft up some more energy to it and feed some more energy into that storm, get it going again. Right now, it's kind of like it's kind of like a campfire that you haven't thrown wood in for a long time. It's kind of starting to die out a little bit. So
it's what happens when your offensive line is bad and hurt at the same time to a storm. It can do some good things, but eventually it really can't move much because the energy that it's the raw energy needed to push the defense off the line is missing. But occasionally you'll get some good levels out of there. There's no word if any mayonnaise is emanating from this storm. Let's hope not.
I noticed Will left when we started talking about the football situation.
I might have flamed a couple of NFL teams in a previous tweet. But it brought me great joy. So there you go. Yeah, these storms are strong, but man, these things are weak. You're right, Andrew.
That's the quote of the day right there. Can we post that somewhere?
I mean,
man, these storms are strong, but man, these storms
they're
are weak.
Right? Like you don't want to be standing under one with a golf club. That would be bad. But they're really not producing the kind of wind energy you expect out of a severe thunderstorm. So yeah, I'm with you, Andrew. I think probably this one that's warned right now that expires in 10 minutes. I mean, unless something changes in those next 10 minutes, they might just downgrade that. We'll see. Hard to know. The longer you do this, the more you realize you don't know anything.
Yeah, we take it as it comes. So that's the way it goes. So
Getting a lot more
we'll see.
lightning down there south, though. If you notice that down near from Spring Hill to Columbia to Hohenwald to Waynesboro, getting a lot more lightning. This storm coming into Southwest Williamson County has got some lightning on it, which is usually an indication of strengthening. So while our storms north of I-840 or north of I-40 may be weakening, these ones south are probably pulsing up a little bit, to use your apt description, Andrew.
Yeah, definitely. You know, what we're kind of seeing here is that like we got these pockets of energy, and so these storms will really get going, and then they might move east into an area that's a little bit more unfavorable, and then they'll weaken, and so there seems to be these pockets of energy. And in fact, the Weather Service was just saying here they don't expect to keep the Davidson County warning going. I'm assuming what they mean by that is beyond the expiration time. They say could get some 40-mile-per-hour winds in there for the Davidson County storm, that storm coming into Davidson here that the severe thunderstorm warning is. They expect you could get some 40-mile-per-hour winds in there, but they're not expecting here with this storm to get severe weather out of it. I mean, it has just fallen apart. So I assume they will let that warning go, and it appears that they've said so. So expires in 8 minutes, but certainly doesn't look impressive on any velocity product here. In fact, it looks just the opposite.
Who was calling me from Minneapolis? What was that about?
Well, I tell you, that storm up in Sumner County, though, man, that thing's got some intensity with it. So right there around South Tunnel, up there in Sumner County, that thing's a beast of a hailer. It looks like. So you got some lightning picking up here. Let's go down here to southwestern Davidson County. Pretty strong core there around Lampley Road, West Lick Creek Road, Shoals Branch. Pretty heavy downpour out there. And a couple of cloud-to-ground lightning strikes in the past past few minutes. Crossing 840 in the next few minutes. So nice little storm there. Not severe. No threat with it except for lightning. Storm up near Fairview, kind of the same thing. Got some downpours between Pasco and Fairview, right up along the Williamson County, Cheatham County border, Brush Creek Road, up in that way. Got some downpours with it. A little bit of lightning, non-severe, not much wind with it, doesn't look like. Spring Hill getting some rain, some needed rain. That doesn't look severe. Some lightning in it as well down around Murray County. So all in all, I feel pretty good about this. I mean,
yeah, I do too.
Nothing. I mean, this actually looks great. I mean,
well, it looks great as long as you're not outside trying to conduct lightning through your body.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're safe from the lightning, you're inside. I mean, we'll take the rainfall. So yeah, it looks like this warning expires in another 5 or 6 minutes. But David, that storm's dead.
Yeah. It is.
So,
I mean, it's still producing lightning, but it's not the severe thunderstorm that it was warned for. It was certainly a good warning back 30 minutes ago, but as it's moved into slightly stable air, and I think, I mean, honestly, it's like you said earlier, it's been undercut by a cold pool somewhere. I mean, you can see the outflow straddling I-40 near downtown. And it's about to interact and cut the legs out of the storm just to its south near Fairview as it comes through. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, David, let's talk just a little bit about what to expect this evening. I mean, I think it's probably this keeps up a while. And then let's talk about this evening just a little bit, and then we'll jump off of here. There's no sense of sitting around here for this warning to just expire in 5 minutes. They're not going to reissue. They are going to reissue something up in Sumner County, but that's not for us. So this evening, David, kind of kind of this theme keeping going for a while, and then eventually stuff dies off? I think I lost David. You still
No,
there?
I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
I was just reconsidering whether I should have rescheduled my physical therapy appointment, but
Oh,
it's
I
already
got
been
you.
done.
So this evening, I guess the trend just sort of keeps going with these little clusters of storms for a while, and then eventually dies off later tonight, I guess.
Yeah, there's that new warning up to our northeast. That's
Yeah.
no threat to us. So
Okay, cool.
I'm going to
Well,
run the
let's let
her
this one go,
here.
David, and we'll be back on if we need to be.
Hold on,
And
Andrew.
we will.
Let's run the her one more time.
Okay, yeah, David's going to check
So
a forecast thing here, and then we'll
I
jump
think
off.
people are going to want to know when to expect this to be off, and we got a couple hundred people still left. So give you all the latest information. The 18Z her H high resolution rapid refresh model is out and starting to populate, and it looks like. Okay, so the her, it just keeps redeveloping these little isolated cells through like 6, 7, 8 p.m. I think that's a little absurd. Like, I don't know how the atmosphere is gonna work to recharge itself after getting undercut already by the existing storms. But the her seems to want to keep them along until like at least 9 o'clock. I just think that's a little ridiculous.
Is there no chance that as the front pushes east, the forcing is tricking the HRRR?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's happening. But like for example, I have it at 8 p.m. tonight, right, where it's still firing off some cells in the metro, and it's got surface capes at like 8:57. The lapse rates are pretty bad, meaning they're low. You need higher lapse rates in order to make bad stuff happen. There's a little bit of convective inhibition at the surface, so maybe these will just fire up off the top of the surface, maybe. But even like the lapse rates are just bad. So, and funny, the shear kind of picks up a little bit, but I mean it's nowhere near to be enough to be tornadic. So that's probably what's triggering it. The P watts are impressive still, though. You're looking at 1.4 inches, which is a lot. That's a function, everybody, of the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. That if the idea being if the P watt was 1.41 inches, if you were to take a sponge and squeeze all the atmosphere, you could, or squeeze the atmosphere and release it of all the moisture that it's containing, it would produce 1.4 inches of rain, which is kind of high for this time of year. But yeah, I'm not a believer. I think this is probably our main line. But we'll see. I mean, we do weather, so I mean, being wrong is kind of part of the ethic, right? We say what we think, and we're honest about what we don't know. And this is one of the things we don't know, which is how long this will go on. So that warning has expired, Andrew, so we're good to go.
All right, well, you guys have a good afternoon. We'll be back on if we need to be. And if there's a severe thunderstorm or tornado warning, which we don't expect, but any other warnings that come out, we'll jump on here and give you an update here. Otherwise, we'll be over on X. Send us reports using hashtag TSpotter, and we'll get those on Twitter. If you're on Instagram, send us a DM on Instagram with reports, and we'll get those over to the Weather Service. Tremendously useful for them. But thanks for being here, and we'll